Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning coffee time. Thursday, July the 9th. So, next 2 days will be the 10th anniversary of the opening of the Pacific Hermitage here in White Salmon. So, if memory serves me right, on July 9th, 2010, we had a wonderful gathering in Portland at the Portland Friends of the Dhamma. This is before they got their current center in the old place. Actually, no, we rented a place, come to think of it. And through some happy coincidences, Lumpur Samedo was in attendance, as was Lumpur Pasano Ajahn Amro. At the time, both of them were the co-abbots of Baigiri. Lumpur Samedo happened to be visiting his sister, who lives here in the Northwest in my hometown of Vancouver, Washington. So that was fortunate. It was a wonderful celebration. There was a huge gathering of monastics from Baigiri and a few visiting monastics as well. And the Portland Friends of the Dhamma, kind of new beginnings. And at the same time, things were very much in transition. It was known that Ajahn Amaro was going to be leaving Baigiri to move to England and take up residency at Amravati to lead the community there. And let's see, in 2020 now, Lumpur Pasano is no longer the co-abbot or abbot of Baigiri. Ajahn Amaro is no longer the co-abbot of Baigiri. So, and originally, Ajahn Krunadhamma was going to join me here. We had both come up on the invitation of the Friends of the Dhamma in 2007 to spend the Vasa period, the summer retreat period, at hosted by the Friends of the Dhamma in cooperation with Michael and Mimi, a lovely couple and friends of the Sangha who have property up here in the gorge and live in Mosier. So that was our first experience of gorge life and living up here. And the Friends of the Dhamma worked with them in developing a couple beautiful places for us to put up tents and make some walking paths to spend the summer in 2007. But it took another couple years before we're ready to move up here. And that all happened 10 years ago now. Seems like a blip, like a dream. And it's a nice coincidence that Ajahn Krunadhamma was up here again this summer with me. So, living in the forest with a slightly more established walking meditation path and a hut instead of a tent. It's interesting to think what will be in 10 more years. What new changes will come? Maybe in 10 years I won't be the abbot. Or maybe I will. I wouldn't really rather live anywhere else at this point. I very much love the gorge and white salmon and the community that we have both here in the gorge and in Portland and in the region. I kind of image myself as uh, a member of a citizen of Cascadia, which is a mythical transnational state that spans the greater Pacific Northwest, including British Columbia, at least in my mind. And it's nice to see so many friends from the Birkin community here. And I can't remember if we collectively went up as a group the first year we were here to do a retreat with Ajahn Sona at Birkin, but if it wasn't the first year, it certainly started by the second year. And so there's a nice kind of connection between the Hermitage community and Friends of the Dhamma and Birkin. Yeah, the Birkin family. So for a while, Ajahn Sona took to calling us the cousins. So like when lay people would come up to visit Birkin from our communities. So in the news, I saw the announcement for the next Jhana talk pop up on the screen last night, and I was able to go grab a sneak preview of it. So that's on the horizon, a few days away, something to look forward to. And of course, we have some of the regular talks coming out from the very senior Ajahns. I think by now people know what the pattern is of these. So, okay, good morning, Doug, or Douglas. What are the positive emotions to develop in right effort? Is there a list of them? Well, the way right effort is framed, I don't know of a list. It's defined very broadly and generally around skillful emotions or skillful qualities of mind. So one has to turn to other lists of teachings to flesh that out for oneself. So we can probably the broadest way to define that would be the opposites of the threefold classification of defilements. So thoughts of non-greed, thoughts of non-hatred, thoughts of non-delusion. So supporting, nurturing, and establishing arisen thoughts of those types, and doing the things that one knows will plant the seeds and develop the conditions for an increase in the future arising of those types of thoughts. So, and of course, we can kind of fill it in different ways, maybe with the paramitas, uh, the 7 factors of awakening, the Brahma Viharas. But in much of the talk and definition that's given for right effort, I don't know of any suttas that list out kind of the qualities. So one kind of has to look elsewhere. So I like the way it's formulated though, because it's very it's a very simple and direct framework for engaging uh, with the present moment, engaging with your kind of conscious experience. And rather than giving you a list of shoulds, it's you know, affirming the efficacy and the importance of evaluating the quality of thoughts and emotions that are manifesting, and giving us a very strong encouragement to be engaged and responsible for how it is that we respond to the experience of our life, the conscious experience of our life. And I would say so, like in a way, and with a strength that is somewhat uncommon. Of course, everybody in probably every human society has some sort of notion of efforting and engaging with their conscious experience and trying to encourage certain things and discourage certain things. But the concept of right effort, as it sits in the Noble Eightfold Path, takes that to an extra level of refinement. And there's just so many other teachings that are like just encouraging the importance and the possibilities of transforming one's experience for the better uh, through a sincere, connected engagement with applying a certain kind of wisdom and discrimination to what it is that arises, and then what it is that we should encourage and what it is that we should discourage, resolve, abandon, guard against. Good morning, Heather. Thanks for the effort at collective memory. So let's see, the first year we went and did our Pacific Hermitage Birkin retreat was whichever year Ajahn Sona did his sabbatical. As I remember, he wasn't there. Okay. I don't think that's correct, because the year Ajahn, oh, actually, we did have a retreat, but that was before there was a Pacific Hermitage. So, because the year Ajahn Sona did a sabbatical, he asked if I would come look after Birkin and be the senior monk. So, and myself and Ajahn Kurunamo went up there that summer, and Ajahn Sona was in his kuti. Oh wait, his sabbatical was in his kuti. I'm thinking of a different year. I'm thinking of the year that he went to look after the Bhavana Society, Bhante Ji's monastery. So, anyways, it's about 10 years. So, okay, let's see. Anything else? Good morning, Eleanor. Why do babies die? Why is it that some live long lives and others don't? Is there a Buddhist explanation as to why that we live X or Y amount of years? Yeah, there's a few ways that we might answer that question. I think the most profound answer is babies die because they're born. So everything that is of the nature to arise is of the nature to cease. With birth as condition, death follows. So, and that is to say, that is to kind of like move the mind to the a rather naturalistic sort of thing, because we tend to sort of slip into thinking of birth and death through frameworks of good and bad. And on some more sort of fundamental level, that which is born dies. So what's the cause of death? Birth. Now, why is it that some live long lives and others don't? There's many, many conditions. Karma can play a role in that, and there's different teachings that talk about how having a storehouse of good and beneficial karma can be a factor in living a long life and a life full of various blessings. So, and in Buddhist cosmology, that's not merely a calculation that comes out of how you're living this life. So when you think about babies or young children that haven't had a whole lot of time to make karma in this life, they still have karma from previous lives. But also Buddhism recognizes the laws of physics and genetics, and it's a misnomer of and a byproduct of our obsession with framing everything through self and personality view, to think that it's all comes down to karma, our karma. So a lot of these things just have to do with the fragility of what it means to be a human and what it means to be born in this time, in this place, subject to the laws of physics and genetics. So there's all kinds of various vulnerabilities. And there's bad luck. There's chance. There's things that happen randomly, not without cause, but also not without some sort of agent. And we have this kind of strong bias as human beings to read agency into almost everything. So we're a bit more prone to believe that there's some being or something or some force, and think of it or apprehend it with at least some sort of notion of a being. So, and Sumana underscores my answer here. As I understand, karma is much more complex than a single strand, a complexity of causes and conditions. Yeah. So, oftentimes in conversation about this, just to help people broaden their understanding of conditionality and how karma or kama sort of fits into that I often suggest looking into teaching in the commentaries of what's called the 5 niyamas. So, and that's what I'm referring to when I say like there are biological laws, physical laws, there's the dynamics of mind, karma, and dhamma. And all these come together. There's 5 niyamas. Bija niyama, uju niyama, chitta niyama, kama niyama, dhamma niyama. And in the commentaries, they talk about how those 5 niyamas are laws, are shaping how it is that things come to be. And karma is just one of these. So, and I think chitta is very interesting kind of niyama, because our mind and our state of mind can have a very profound effect on how it is that things come to be. And even, and that includes like how, say, karma comes to fruition. And probably the strongest example of this is, well, something like the life of Angulimala. So he was a mass murderer in the time of the Buddha. And he has this encounter where the Buddha inspires faith in him, and he gives up killing and becomes not just a monk, but an arahant. And he still has a mountain of negative karma from that lifetime. And various unfortunate things happen to him. There's some of the citizenry that is still not very forgiving, that he has made a profound change and he's given up killing. The king has faith in the Buddha, and because the Buddha testifies that Angulimala has become harmless, he's had a very sincere conversion and given up killing and embraced the Dhamma and purified his mind. The king doesn't press for justice, but not everybody in the kingdom feels that way. So, and Angulimala has some troubles when he goes alms around. But the Buddha tells him to bear it and says, had you not given up killing and turned to the Dhamma and purified your mind in this way, you'd be suffering much worse. So, but a very mundane example is just bad things happen, and when you're in a good place, in a good state of mind, they roll right off. They don't impact us as much, or sometimes even not at all. If you're in a supremely kind of good mood and equanimous and brimful of wisdom, and something unfortunate happens, it's still unfortunate, and still there is maybe dukkha vedana, or pain. It's unpleasant in some way, but does it cause suffering? And how much suffering does it cause? And, if the same circumstances came to be, and one was in a weak place, clouded, not clear, not seeing things through the lens of wisdom, afflicted with doubt and delusion and sadness and other unfortunate things, then it's received, or it manifests very differently. So mind factors in very, very strongly. So Kevin, your question here, or your request to reflect on how cultivating goodness and doing the practice help mitigate the effects of negative karma. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can't go back and unrace negative karma. The past is the past, but you can transform uh, how any negative fruits will be experienced through how it is that you live your life today and what kind of positive conditions that you create sort of moving forward. So for every little bit of you that wants to fret and worry and speculate about what's in the past, what negative karma lurks, don't waste your time. Use that time and energy to focus on just building a storehouse and strong, wholesome kind of habits, and trust that you'll be able to bear it. My favorite image from the suttas is comparing sort of like what it'd be like to take a measure of salt and in a glass of water as compared to sort of salt that's been dissolved in like a barrel or more yet like a river. So if you throw a spoonful of salt in 8 ounces of water and drink it, it's very salty. But if you throw that tablespoon of salt in a 50-gallon barrel and stir it up, and then you have to drink some of that water, you might not even taste it. So cultivating goodness has that same effect. And, reflecting not just on negative karma, but also the fragility of the human life. And, who knows what lies ahead for us today, tomorrow, and for however many days we may live. Who knows what challenges lie ahead for us? Personal disasters, collective disasters. We know old age, sickness, and death are there in our future. We don't know how they will challenge us. We don't know how difficult those challenges might be. We don't know when they will begin. So reflecting on that and reflecting on the uncertainty and the fragility and the danger of not being devoted to the good and being, I guess, energetic and zealous even about cultivating goodness and doing good each and every day and developing strength of mind, developing these kind of wholesome qualities and emotions that are so praised by the Buddha and the wise. That's really our best hope. And the more we do that and feel the strength and the presence of those aptitudes in ourselves, the more we can rest in a sense of ease and confidence and faith that whatever it is that we may be facing in the future, it'll be okay. We will be able to bear it. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it at that for today. We're just past 8:30 here, so be well, friends. And maybe my parting encouragement is be zealous. The Buddha says, practice goodness like your hair is on fire. It's not something to be slack about or complacent. So muster your creative energies, look around you in your family and in your relationships and see what could be done today to make a positive contribution to yourself and others. And it might be taking some extra time out to strengthen and enjoy peace and serenity, loving kindness, and equanimity. But it also could be something more active in the world. Reaching out to friends or family, making a contribution, offering some support in some way, doing good. So don't let this day be wasted. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning. So be well.